Hello, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Is there any afternoon also, sir? Please. చూస్తుంది ఏం చేసేది మా మా కోడలు తెచ్చి ఇచ్చిపోయినా భోజనమా చేస్తుంది అడుగు చాలా డిస్టర్బ్ కూడా ఉంది మేడం
సార్ బాగా పని చేస్తాను నెట్ ఓకే సార్ సార్ అది
లేకపోతే పరిస్థితి ఏంటంటే స్టార్టింగ్ రెండు అని చేస్తాను ఇది బాగా వస్తుంది కానీ నేను కూర్చోవాలి ఫ్యాన్ వేయడం వల్ల స్పీడ్ కట్ అయిపోతుంది
లేదు సార్ పాస్ చేసింది
వైర్లెస్
నమస్తే అండి. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible. Good evening, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening. Okay, my presentation share screen is disabled. Can you please enable my screen sharing?
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon. Namaste.
Our principal sir is coming, madam. He would like to introduce
Yes,
a
yes,
minute,
sure.
madam. Just wait a minute, madam. Thank you so
Namaste.
much, madam.
Namaste.
Thank you, thank you,
Namaste.
thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.
Madam,
Soon after
Minister,
the completion of the speech,
audible and visible, madam. Thank you.
See, sir?
It is
madam,
audible
soon,
and
soon
no
after
problem.
the blessings given by the principal, then we would like to share the screen to you, madam.
Oh, until then it will be disabled. Okay,
Okay, madam.
fine, fine.
If you are share our screen, it's not possible to us once again to speak, madam.
Oh, I see. Okay, sir.
Wait a matter of only 2 minutes, madam.
That's okay. That's all right.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Good afternoon, madam. Namaste. We will start the session within 2 minutes, madam.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good afternoon, all of you. Respected management of our college, President Garu, Sri Narayan Garu, Secretary and Correspondent of our college management, Dr.K. Ramchandra Garu, Treasurer, Sri Vaddagiri Lavkumar Garu, guest speaker of today's webinar, Assistant Professor of Botany, Adikavi Nanna University, Rajamahendravaram, Dr. V. Padmavati Garu, Coordinator IQAC and HOD of English, K.S. Kumar Garu, HOD of Botany of our college, UG courses, and convener of this webinar, Dr.K.S. Garu, the other faculty members of our college, students, and particularly I am very much thankful to the participants who have participated this webinar from various degree colleges in Andhra Pradesh. Good afternoon to you all. We all know that biodiversity, biological diversity provides a natural environment which includes flora and fauna. That ecosystem supply oxygen, a clean air and water, pollination of plants, and wastewater management. But during these days, we have been disrupting the ecosystem or biodiversity. So the threats for the biodiversity mainly are climate change, pollution, and habitat change. Apart from those threats, almost 30% of the biodiversity declining for change in usage of land. Since these days, most of the land is being used for large scale food production of grains. The other factor which influences, which decline, which reduces the biodiversity is overexploitation. So overfishing, overhunting, and overharvesting come under this overexploitation. So this happens for things like food, medicine, and timber. So we, the human people, has to take responsibility to safeguard the environment, ecosystem, or biodiversity to live happily in future. So the factors which influences the biodiversity are the threats which are reasons for declining the biodiversity. These content will be delivered by our guest speaker, Dr. V. Padmavati garu later. So with these few words, I am giving to our IQAC coordinator and head of the Department of English to lead the occasion. Now I invite Dr. S.V.K.S. garu to wish the occasion. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all of you. On behalf of S.V.K.P and Dr.K.S. Raju Arts and Science College, Penugonda, I extend a hearty warm welcome to one and all. At the outset, I convey my cordial thanks to the management, President Pitani Suryanarayana garu, Secretary Correspondent Dr. K. Ramchandra Raj garu, Treasurer Sri Uddagiri Lavkumar garu for their unstinted support to conduct the seminars and the webinars and all activities in our college. My cordial thanks to our dynamic principal, Dr. Y.V. Apparao garu, who has also encouraged all the head of the departments and the faculty members. With the support of our principal, we are able to organize all these webinars. I extend my cordial thanks to the Department of the Botany, especially convener of the webinar, Dr. Sri Lakshmi, organized this webinar that is within a short span only. My cordial thanks all the department heads and faculty members for their support to conduct all these webinars. Especially a warm welcome to our Professor Padmavati garu, Adikavi Nannaya University. Now she is going to share her valuable thoughts that is in the webinar. Really very thankful to you, madam, for accepting our invitation, sparing with your valuable time with us. Finally, I convey my cordial thanks to all the participants from the various places from our AP and some other states also. They would like to participate in our webinars. Thank you one and all, and wish you all the best to all the participants. Thank you. I handed over the mic to our beloved principal, sir.
Thank you, Shesh Kumar garu, coordinator IQAC and HOD of English, for your greetings on this occasion. Before going to the main speaker, I would like to invite one student of Suvasa Club. Suvasa, the student club, Department of Botany, Adikavi Nannaya University, Rajamahendravaram, to speak few words on this occasion. So I invite member of Suvasa Club. Thank you.
Sir.
I
Good
request
evening.
my screen share be enabled. Sorry to interrupt. My screen
Ma'am?
share is disabled. Can the host please enable my screen share?
Sorry, ఇలాగ మరి introduction ఉంది కదా,
One second, Bindu.
Okay, madam. Okay, madam. We would like
Okay,
to
ma'am.
share our screen, madam.
Yeah,
Wait a minute,
I
ma'am.
would like to share the screen.
Madam Gar.
Yes, sir. Can you please enable my screen share?
Okay, madam. We are sharing, madam. Sharing, madam.
Okay, thank you.
Just a minute, madam.
Sure.
He is doing.
Pawan, can you mute?
Okay, madam. You can continue.
Yes, sir.
My
Yes.
books are matter.
I hope you can see the screen. Can you see the screen, sir?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Right. Now, Bindu, can you please start?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. I'm Y. Bindu Madhavi, President of Suvasa Club, studying second MSc Botany in Adikavi Nana University. Our club name is Suvasa. It is a Sanskrit word. Su means good and Vasa means place. We started this club with the intention towards a better place for all of us. We are working for eco-friendly activities, sensitizing people, organizing awareness programs, sensitization workshops towards better environment as we are facing unfavorable environment and climate changes. This would be in terms of biodiversity protection, habitat, cleansing, and restoration activities. Restoration activities are main theme of United Nations for the decade, focusing majorly on the ecological restoration. We will execute and plan programs that are related to environment and biodiversity. For environment cleansing, we are promoting natural farming by sensitizing the farmers and also spreading the word to go for desi varieties, as exotic varieties are destroying in biodiversity and gene pool. Other environmental activities would be waste management, recycling, reuse, and repair. For this, we will be collaborating with municipal corporation and for biodiversity activities. We will be coordinating with AP State Government, State Biodiversity Board and other NGOs also. This club was launched on National Science Day by our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Mokka Jagannatharao Garu. Inauguration will be done in a large scale physically after the summer break. We are inviting the memberships to be part of this. We can adapt villages, municipal wards to restore the purity of soil, water, and air. To go with the municipal wards, we are collaborating with Municipal Commission Office of Rajmahendravaram. The theme for this year, International Biodiversity, is Building Assured Future for All Life, as depicted in our logo. Thank you. This is the brief introduction of our SUASA student club. Thank you.
Thank you, Bindu Madhavi. I appreciate your efforts and your student club, SUASA. What you have been doing for the society, particularly Rajahmundry municipality, and Dr. Padmavati Garu, who has been giving a constant encouragement to you and your SUASA club to do all these things. So I appreciate your efforts and the Students Club SUASA efforts and the Department of Botany, S.V.K.P University efforts on behalf of our college, management, faculty, and students. Thank you very much, Bindu Madhavi, and thank you very much, Madam Padmavati Garu. You are doing a excellent work to the society, Madam. It's not an easy thing. Thank you, Madam. Main speaker of this webinar, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, S.V.K.P University. Before that, I invite HOD of Botany, convener of this webinar, Dr.K.S. Garu, to introduce our guest speaker today.
Ma'am, not audible, ma'am.
Unmute yourself, Lakshmi Garu. Unmute yourself.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.
I extend a warm welcome to you all for today's national webinar on strategies for building a shared future for all life. Our responsibility, organized by Department of Botany, UZ, and IQAC in association with SUASA, the Student Club, Department of Botany, S.V.K.P University, Rajmahendravaram. The world makes International Day for Biological Diversity, which is 22nd May, adopted in December 2000 by the UN General Assembly. The day aims to raise awareness about ongoing biodiversity issues, while also generating more understanding of the challenges required to sustain the planet's abundant flora and fauna. Each year, the International Day for Biodiversity focuses on a particular theme, building a shared future for all life. Is the theme of International Day for Biological Diversity for 2022. The theme was chosen to continue developing momentum and support the past 2020 Global Biodiversity Framework at the forthcoming UN Biodiversity Conference. Yesterday, worldwide celebrations of Biodiversity Day had been done. So today we arranged this webinar to increasing understanding and awareness of biodiversity issue. Under the guise of development of progress, certain man-made activities end up destroying biological diversity. And it's time for humans to take notice and contribute to making the earth a more welcome habitat for all forms of life. In this connection, I take the opportunity of introducing Today's resource person of the webinar, Dr. V. Padmavati Garu, Assistant Professor and Course Coordinator, Department of Botany, Adikavi Nannaya University, Rajmahendravaram, to the participants. She has been in the teaching field for the last 27 years. She had her postdoctoral in CSIR sponsored project from Usmania University, PhD in Botany from Usmania University, Telangana, MSc Botany from AK Navjeevan College, Usmania University, Hyderabad. Her primary research focuses on mutagenic studies for the improvement of sunflower. She published more than 21 research articles in reputed national and international journals, and also published a book entitled Advances in Bitter Gourd Technology from New Delhi Publishers. She delivered 30 talks as an invited speaker, resource person, guest lecturer. She attended more conferences and seminars and organized so many programs for the sake of students and society development. Her credentials, resource person and subject expert at the teleconference for Ambedkar Open University Distance Education Live Session in Doordarshan. Radio talk on importance of biodiversity in AIR Hyderabad. Governing Council member Bharati Vijnan Mandal, AP chapter of Vijnan Bharati, an NGO working for promoting Swadeshi Science Movement. State coordinator Andhra Shakti, AP unit of Shakti, a national movement for women, the women wing of Vijnana Bharati. Vice President Bharatiya Vijnana Mandali, Joint Secretary Bharati Vijnana Mandali, and Managing Editor and Executive Editor, Trainer, Associate for Manual on Women and Research of UGC workshops and capacity building for women managers in higher education. She has done so much study on biodiversity. As a convener, she had conducted 2 days lecture workshop on biodiversity conservation for sustainable planet during 30-31 July 2018. Under science education program of the 3 science academies, IAS, INSA, NASA, and a webinar conducted on World Environment Day with the theme Foster Biodiversity. Nature in association with AP State Biodiversity Board on 5th June 2020. With these few good words, I humbly present Dr. V. Padmavati Garu to the participants. Thank you. Now I request the principal, Dr. Y.V.V. Apparao Garu, to continue the proceedings. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Srilakshmi Garu, for introducing our chief guest with her great credentials. Thank you. Now I invite Dr. V. Padmavati Garu to continue the lecture. Thank you, madam.
My humble namaskaram to everybody. And I would like to actually thank Lakshmi Garu for giving me this platform to meet you all academically. And a small correction I would like to make. I'm no longer the course coordinator. I was former course coordinator of the department.
Okay,
so a mistake in that. I apologize for that. Thank you very much for introducing me to the audience. It's a pleasure joining you here. Yeah.
Madam, this is Jyoti. Namaste, madam. From
Hi,
S.V.K.P.
namaste,
college.
Jyoti. Hi. Namaste.
Namaste,
So
madam.
it's a wonderful opportunity given to me to meet you all here. And I also wish you all a very happy International Day of Biological Diversity, which was yesterday, of course, but then we are celebrating today. And as I've seen, the speakers have been talking about the importance of biodiversity and the role it plays in our day-to-day life. So I hope you're able to see my presentation.
Yes, madam.
So, yeah, welcome to this celebration of Biological Diversity Day. And this is the web or the fabric of life that is sustaining on the earth. And the variations that we see in this types of life forms a clean fabric, a strong fabric on this earth. And this we call it as the biological diversity. And this is the beauty of this planet with these diverse forms of lives. And these lives we can segregate them or group them into 3 classes. The plants on which we are living, dependent on, and the animals which are dependent on the plants. The animals, again, you can see the plants and the animals you can see are of different varied types. So the variability that you can see in life exists not only at all types of species, but also within the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, or the microorganisms which sustain all these. So this diversity is the beauty and the fabric that is strengthening the life's existence on the earth. And not only is there diversity existing amongst different types of organisms, but also you can see the diversity that is here, there. Can all of you please mute yourself? Can you please mute yourself? I request the audience to please mute. The organizers, can you please mute the audience?
సూర్య ప్రకాష్ గారు కొంచెం ఆడియో క్లోజ్ చేయండి సార్. సూర్య ప్రకాష్ గారు.
Right, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I hope you are able to hear me. Right. Right. So the diversity is not only existing amongst the different species that we see in our planet, but also within the same species. See how many types of bananas we have for our nutritious support. Not just the bananas, but also the mangoes. This type of variation exists in all types of species, not just bananas or the mangoes. So this variation is because of the genetic differences that are produced during the evolution process. So, and as I was telling, this is a fabric interwoven through a strong relationship. And this relationship is mainly through the food that is transferred from one organism to the other, and the main food producer is the plant, which traps the solar energy, utilizing the minerals that are available from the environment. It converts all these into its biomass. This energy is stored in its biomass, that is its body, which is fed upon by the plant-eating animals, which cannot synthesize their own food. So this way, every organism is dependent on the other organism, where there is transfer of energy in the form of food. And in this same manner, the minerals that are available in the environment are also getting transferred from the plants to the plant-eating animals, from plant-eating animals to the animal-eating animals. And when they die, the minerals and the other chemicals, organic and inorganic, which are stored in the biomass or the body of the organism are broken down by none other than the most important organisms in the web of this life, the microorganisms. These help in decomposing, breaking down the complex organic chemicals to simpler inorganic forms. Now this is, if we put all the organisms in the form of a pyramid, you can see the plants are the basis for the life of other types of organisms. And all these organisms are dependent on the most important forms, the microorganisms, for breaking down all the chemicals in their body and recycling it back to the environment. So this way, every organism is dependent. So, so you can see here, there are plants, there are different types of animals, and there are different types of microorganisms, which are interlocked, interlinked, forming a complex network, holding each other together, supporting each other together for each other's support, survival. So no organism kills the other organism to extinction. They are helping each other, living together for the survival of the other organism. And if we see this types of varied types of organisms have come into existence, taking a long periods of evolution, the changes in the environment and the planet Earth. So it was about 4.5 billion years back that the Earth took shape, and for it to form into this sphere, it took about 10 billion years after Big Bang. So it took about 10 billion years for the Earth to form in its spherical form, and on this Earth, it had to develop environment favorable for the life to come into existence. And the first life has come to existence some about 3.8 to 3.5 billion years back. And the first life that took form was a unicellular non-motile structure, which was found at the bottom of the ocean. It was produced through biochemical reactions and took shape into a cell. This unicellular non-motile achlorophyllous non-photosynthetic cell later evolved, took so many millions of years to form a protozoan, a eukaryotic, that is multicellular structured bodies, and the blue-green algae which could synthesize. These were the photosynthetic organisms first, and which evolved into the plant kingdom. And these achlorophyllous multicellular organisms evolved into the animal kingdoms of different types. So there was diversification throughout, producing new species. But for each species to come into existence, it took millions of years. We have to respect this, because this is very important. So if you see the history of life on Earth, we can classify them into eons. This is the geological time scale I'm talking about. These are the eons, these are the years and eras, and these are different periods during which different types of life has come into existence. Now, as these different forms are coming into speciation, new species are being produced. These are produced because there have been changes occurring on the Earth. The Earth was not like this, which is today. We see it in the form of different planets, but it was a single mass of land. Before that, it was just continents which were floating on shallow seas. Now it took during the Precambrian period and the Paleozoic eras that these continents started moving closer, because the seas and the oceans started disappearing. So that's when the land masses came together. As these land masses are moving to different latitudes and longitudes, it became favorable for different organisms to evolve. So this is how the evolution of the present day biodiversity has come into existence through the Pangea, the landmass, which later got broken down into continents through continental drift and the present day continents. This is when the humans have come into existence after all the different life forms have been produced. This is important. We are only 2 million years old, less than 2 million years old. And we have evolved along with the angiosperms, the flowering plants. That's where we could get our food in the form of fruits and other crop plants. And you see these major circles, the yellow circles, these were the periods when mass extinctions have occurred, which means whenever there was a change in these land masses and the movements of the land masses, the change in the environment caused several species to disappear. They could not survive in the changed environment, hence resulting in several mass extinctions. So we are now on the verge of mass extinction, and we are at the biodiversity crisis. As Principal Sir was saying, 30% of the world's biodiversity is going to be lost in the next few years. And maybe by the end of this century, we may lose about 50 to 60% of the plant species. And about out of 2.5 lakh plant species, we may lose 50,000 and about 4,000 from amongst the 20,000 butterflies. So we are on the verge of losing a lot of biodiversity. And now we do not talk about biodiversity as a science, but we are talking about it as conservation biology because we are losing it constantly. So now I was telling you, there have been extinctions occurring and there have been prehistoric extinctions, that again because of the human entry of the humans. Shortly after the humans have arrived, about 74 to 86% of the large animal species have become extinct. This was mainly because of hunting and the habitat alteration, because man has just gotten used to colonizing and cultivating. So he started cutting down the forests and taking up the crop cultivation or agriculture. So this he converted into grasslands. So this is one major reason where the prehistoric extinctions have occurred. And now it is that, bird species and the mammal species are on the verge of extinction. And the rate of extinction is ever increasing. So these are some of the prehistoric animals which we could not see, right? Whenever we see these pictures, we feel, oh, these kind of species existed earlier. Did they really exist, or is it really fiction? But they are true and they have been lost. They have become extinct all because of habitat loss. And this is much recently, the dodo, the Carolina parakeet, and the tiger, the Tasmanian tiger. These are some of the animals which we have recently been told that they have become extinct. So it disheartens to know that some species have disappeared unnecessarily. And most vulnerable are the island species, because the islands are isolated areas where the species are not exposed to extremities. They are in a limited area, hence they are weak behaviorally. So they do not have any behavioral defenses, neither do they have any immunological defenses. Hence, they are prone to diseases and any invaders. So any invasive species can outnumber them and outcompete them. So I take one example, the brown tree snake, which has colonized, which was introduced actually to the Guam Islands, where several of the bird species were eaten away by this the snake, that they have become completely extinct on that island. Because it is an island, they have no defense. They could not go migrate elsewhere to save themselves. So island species are the most vulnerable for extinction. And other species are those which are endemic, which exhibit endemism, which these are species which can grow only in a limited habitats, and beyond the limits of these habitats they cannot tolerate the change and they become extinct. So they are very vulnerable, and such areas which are rich in endemic species are and also on the verge of habitat loss are called as hotspots. So protecting the endemic species and hotspots is an important conservation strategy that we can take up. And the hotspots which are rich in endemism are also rich in humans. So wherever there are humans, there would be commercial exploitation of these natural resources and the biodiversity. So if we can protect this 1.4% of the land area, which is rich in the endemism and which are hotspots, then we can save about 44% of the vascular plants and 35% of the vertebrates. And they also contain 20% of the humans. That's what. So this is where the humans have to work judiciously to protect our biodiversity, which is supporting other organisms, not only the other organisms, but also the humans. Now, if we are losing the biodiversity, we are going to incur huge losses. And this may be direct economic value, where we are directly dependent on the biodiversity for our food, fiber, fuels, medicine, whatnot. Even the gene prospecting. Prospecting is nothing but commercialization, but this is where you get a gene resource for commercializing or converting or a value addition in medicines or food or any other form. And there is statistics where about $6 billion is saved only by the service of the honeybees and the other pollinators. Only by pollination we are saving the about $6 billion per annum in just one state, that is United States. All over the world, you can imagine the amount of revenue that we are saving just by the pollinators. But the pollinators are on the decline now. So we are going to incur huge losses because of that. And we are also incurring huge losses in indirect economic value because the biodiversity is the basis for purification of both water and air. These are the microorganisms which purify the water and the air. But we are using the, the sanitizers to kill all the microorganisms. So sanitization is harming our microflora, which again destroys the purification process of the air and water. So this again has to be used judiciously. And the plant species, especially the forests, they help in mitigating the droughts and the floods. And they also help, the microorganisms also help in soil purification and renewal of the soils, rejuvenating the soil fertility. and they also help in detoxification, decomposition of the waste, and recycling of the nutrients. And the birds help in the controlling the agricultural pests and other benefits that we will be, incurring great loss because of the biodiversity loss. Now, if you see the economic value in an intact habitat and the managed habitats or the cultured habitats. See here, in a natural intact habitat, the productivity is about 60,000, whereas the shrimp farming can produce only about 20,000 euros, the US dollars. So this really shows that we should leave the nature to itself to provide for our day-to-day requirements. And the tropical rainforest also shows this. See the productivity of the tropical rainforest in comparison to the small-scale farming, and the social forestry is on the negative, in fact. So encouraging social forestry, is it intelligent? We have to think about that. And nothing to say about the aesthetic value it provides to us and the peace it provides wherever you want. We can enjoy the beauty of the nature. And I wonder if the future generations are going to enjoy as much as we are doing now, that the biodiversity is providing us. And I wonder if they would be able to see and again question, did these organisms really exist earlier? If we let the biodiversity lose, this is what the future generations are going to lose. See, this is where everybody would like to be for a vacation, because the minute you see this area, it gives you a peace. It is pleasant on your eyes. It just gives a heartful enjoyment. But see this, it definitely chokes us, and you feel like you would die in the near future. So definitely we have to plan every developmental activity judiciously, sustainably. This is what the Sustainable Development Goals are talking about. It has to be preserving whatever we have, but continuing to develop is the sustainable development. Now we are on the verge of extinction crisis because of, or as already mentioned by our principal sir, that there is habitat loss, not just habitat loss, but the habitat, whatever is existing, is fragmented. It is broken because earlier there used to be large vegetational groups like this woodlands, which are cut down for first colonization by the early man, and then for developing cities and laying down roads, railway tracks, and dams, construction of dams. That's when the whole big, large area is now broken down into fragments. So habitat fragmentation will restrict the animal and other organisms' movement and migration. This is going to create reduction in the population size and also the diversity in the genetic modulation. And as sir has mentioned, there is overexploitation of by hunting and fishing. Why do we hunt? For the ivory, you hunt the elephants and you fish. I mean, fishing is for exporting. So you just overexploiting or over harvesting, which is causing, which is not giving time for the organism to breed and multiply. You should give it time to breed and multiply so the number is still maintained. But if you're just exhausting the last piece also, there is no chance for it to reproduce, for its generation to continue. And as I've just shown you, by example, the snake, the brown tree snake, the introduced species can destroy the regional diversity. This is one reason why the extinctions are occurring. And this way the ecological interactions are broken, where the honeybees are unable to pollinate the flowers, and the flowers the plants fail to produce fruits. When there is no fruit, there is no seed, the multiplication of plants is no further existing, and the plants which are dependent on the birds which are dependent on these seeds and flowers, they are also lost. So there is the ecological disruption of the ecological interactions. And this way, as I've told you, because of habitat fragmentation, the population size is reducing and the genetic variability is lost in these small populations. See, this is what I mean. I've just wanted to show you as an example, where in Wisconsin, in the year 1831, there was this large woodland, a thick vegetation. Within a span of 50 years, the whole vegetation has been broken into fragments. This vegetated area now is got encroached by the human habitation and other activities. This has reduced to so much that the plant diversity and the other life diversity is now confined to these small areas. Can you expect any kind of genetic variability? Because the more the diverse the area, the more the genetic diversity, the possibility for the genes to modify to adapt to these new areas. So when they migrate to new areas, only then will they get a chance to modify their genetic variability. So these are the reasons why we are losing biodiversity at a very fast rate. And preserving a one keystone species may help us to save so many other dependent organisms. Now, what is a keystone species? Keystone species is one on which I take the example of this flying fox. It's a bat, and this flying fox helps in pollination and seed dispersal. So, but because of the human persecution, ill treatment of these, and also the loss of the forests, the thick forests, they are on the verge of extinction. They are threatened now. Consequently, all the plants that are dependent on these for pollination and seed dispersal are lost. And the plants and all other animals like this insect herbivores will also disappear when there is no seed available. This is how the ecosystem is under disruption. So preserving a keystone species may save so many other dependent species. So how do we preserve the endangered species? Endangered species are those which are under threat. So we can help these recover from the endangered status to by multiplying their number, by providing whatever habitat they require. And this habitat should be clean for their reproductive requirements, and removing the introduced species may help a little, and cleaning up and rehabilitation measures may help again regain whatever species we are losing. And if we have no other option, we have to go for captive breeding. Captive breeding, you have to take them out of their habitat, the natural habitat, and then help them to reproduce and put them back in the natural environment. So sometimes conserving the whole ecosystem might be expensive, but it would help preserve so many other species. Okay, this is how we can do it. These are natural habitats. Right now we do have, but I'm doubtful about the future unless we take some measures to control, to retain these ecosystems in their natural form. There is no hope for these ecosystems to continue to survive in these conditions, because we have ill-treated, over-exploited the natural resources to exhaustion. Now this is one statement which I felt we should all understand, that every species has its own right to live, because whatever that species is contributing to the function of the ecosystem is not visible. So we may not be able to see what role it plays in the balancing of the ecosystem. Because we cannot see it, we take short-term actions without causing serious impacts on the biodiversity. So does man have that right to do? We do not have that right. We only share this planet with millions of other species. We are only sharing. We are not the we are the custodians of this. We have to take care of our other co-living beings. So it is morally wrong for man to take actions that may cause the extinction of the species. So what strategies can we take up to save biodiversity? So as our student club has mentioned, clubs like those can undertake works which are related to biodiversity of plants and animals. Even people are just talking about plants and animals, but microorganisms are the basis for all life, the existence of all life. If there is no microorganism, even plants cannot survive. So every organism is dependent on the microorganisms. So taking up actions which help sustain the microflora is one very active role. Yes. Somebody wanted to talk? Okay. And we as Indians have been having traditional practices. That is our culture. So this culture is formed because of the biodiversity existing in our locality, in our area. So region-based cultures are existent in India, because India thus is a rich, diverse, it exhibits diversity in not just life forms, but also in culture, because we have different environmental regions. So documenting such knowledge would help preserve our plant biodiversity and animal biodiversity. So this can be achieved through the plant genetic resource documentation and the status of whether they are endangered or on the verge of extinction. We can take help from the NGOs, or you can directly take up the PRAs. This is the plant resource assessments that we can do, and we can even document the nomadic grazers or pastoral communities' knowledge on the vegetation. What is the habitat required for a particular plant species? They have better knowledge than we have. So we can take information from the tribes, from the endemic races, or from even the nomadic grazers or the pastoral communities, and other knowledge holders like the village elders on the land races that are available in their locality, the primitive cultivars which were there earlier, which they cultivated earlier, but no longer existent now. So we can do this through the participatory rural appraisal. This is called as the people's participation in biodiversity conservation. So in participatory rural appraisal, we involve the villagers in assessing whatever resources that are there in the village. We document them and what are the practices and what are the benefits they have taken from these natural resources is all documented through involvement of the villagers. So this is called the participatory rural appraisal technique. Okay. Now this kind of an awareness was instilled in the year 1972 by the United Nations Conference on the Environment, and again during 1992, at the Earth Summit, a convention was held on the biological diversity, which everyone I'm sure are aware of. This is when the conservation, the importance of biodiversity was understood, and also conservation practices was discussed about. And this is when they have discussed about the importance of the lions, the tigers, the predators that are existent, which we are killing indiscriminately with the fear that they would kill us. Even the Asian elephants. So these are the conservation measures that we can take up. Protecting the habitat that is in situ, their home, or ex situ, away from their home. The in situ protection measures are taken up by protecting the area, the total area. That way we can protect all the different ecosystems that are present in that large area, or you can, along with that, you can protect the different species also. So these protected areas can be of different types, which I'm going to discuss in detail now. And the ex situ conservation is you have to take out the species from its natural habitat, its home, because the home is no longer a home for them. They cannot survive in that destroyed home. Hence, you have to take them out. So they can be in any of these forms. So if you see the protected areas, you have so many different types of protected areas: the national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, conservation reserves, or the community reserves, tiger reserves, biosphere reserves, and the elephant reserves. So we have in India so many national parks identified and under conservation. And the wildlife sanctuaries, we have about 515, a very large number. So these are under conservation, mind you, and these need to be supported. So the different national parks that are present in India, and the wildlife sanctuaries and the tiger reserves. So the conservation activities that are taken up by India is that are under practice is the Gir Sanctuary Project, where all the wildlife are being protected, and the Tiger Project. We have the Himalayan Deer, Musk Deer Project, and the Project Hangul to preserve all these. I mean, they are trying to protect these animals by protecting the habitats, and these habitats are the protected areas network. And even the crocodile breeding project is underway. So these are the different laws that are being enacted for protecting the biodiversity. The Indian Wildlife Protection Act, which was postulated in 1972, and the Biological Diversity Act, which came into form in 2002. And CITE is the Convention on the International Trade on Endangered Species. This is very important because there is a lot of trade that is happening on the endangered species, and these are being exported for commercial use. So this is where we are fast losing the wild flora and fauna. And there is another World Conservation Union, which was earlier called as IUCN, which stands for the International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. And the Indian Wildlife Board is another organization which is working for that. And most famous is the WWF, the Worldwide Fund for Nature. And apart from that, we have the Bombay Natural History Society, which is working towards conservation. So where the habitat conservation is not possible and where it is beyond repair, that we go for the ex situ conservation. And there are different institutions working for these ex situ conservation. We have about 192 zoos and 34 botanical gardens. We have gene banks, which are being preserved by National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resource, NBPGR, and the NBAGR, the Animal Genetic Resource, and also the National Facility for Plant Tissue Culture Repository. And now coming to our the statistics, the current negative trends in biodiversity and ecosystems are going to undermine the progress of 80% of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. We will not be able to reach out or fulfill the 17 Sustainable Development Goals if this trend of biodiversity loss and the ecosystem destruction continues. And 75% of the land-based environment is already lost, and 66% of the marine environment is being lost. And 1 million animal and plant species are now threatened to be extinct. In spite of all our technological advancements, we cannot live without the biodiversity for our food, medicine, and other requirements. And the United Nations Decade on Restoration highlights that the biodiversity is the answer for all our sustainable development challenges. And as we have been discussing, the theme this year is building a shared future for all life. It conveys that from ecosystem-based approaches to climate and nature-based solutions is the need of the hour for the health of both the environment and the human beings, for our food, water securities, and also for a sustainable livelihood. The biodiversity is the foundation on which we can have a backup. These are the pillars on which all the civilizations have been built, and 20% of the animal protein is from the fish, which is now, as Sir has mentioned, is being overexploited. And 80% of the human diet is provided by the plants in the form of food as well as the medicines. So this biodiversity loss is causing zoonosis, the disease transmitted from the animals to humans. While on the other hand, we can keep the biodiversity intact, then we can have excellent tools to fight against the pandemics like the coronaviruses and others. And the Global Biodiversity Framework post 2020 is an ambitious package of measures to transform the society's relationship with the biodiversity by 2050. Amongst its goals is restoration of at least 20% of the degraded ecosystems and to reduce the introduced species or eliminate the invasive species at least by 50%. So these are the targets of the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework. Now coming to the biodiversity 2022, because it is 22 May 22 year, 22 action plans have been proposed by the Biodiversity United Nations, courtesy WWF. And so these action plans, I'm just framing them. These are be a green commuter. We have been using the fossil fuels for commuting. So it's time for us to go for a fossil fuel free and renewable energy sourced transport. So let's go for walking, which is healthier. Let's take a bicycle, which is much healthier. And the next postulated is the go paperless. I think we have already started being paperless now. So we are having e-offices. I'm sure your college also has taken up e-office. So any communication these days is through digital means, and any transactions are digital. So we are partially towards going paperless, as paper requires making paper needs lot of trees to be cut down. So that we can save by going paperless. Now ditch all the disposable and choose reusable. We have been using so many disposable spoons, plates, and even cutlery for our any celebrations, any parties. So I think it's time we changed and go back to the non-disposable and the reusables to save the environment from pollution, and also the environment takes a lot of time to break it down and decompose. So give it time to decompose. Let's use nature-friendly products and reduce food waste. Try not to serve yourself too much or cook too much. Just cook as required, not much, and share whatever is left over to others. And shop for sustainably sourced palm oil products. Palm oil products are harmful to the environment. They are harming the biodiversity. Large scale palm oil cultivation is destroying the forest vegetation. Forest is being converted to the palm oil cultivation, and this is taking away the habitat for many orangutans and other life forms. So it's time we purchase oil palm is the need for us. So we have to purchase it, but purchase it from a source which is extracting it or cultivating it sustainably. And don't waste water. So for that, and we are all now these days, we are going for the washing machines. So wash your clothes in full load so that you can save a lot of water. And learn to refuse. Refuse those which come free. Any free gift, please refuse, because these free gifts, they may not be useful to us. They just lie there and go into the dustbin when not in use. So try to refuse such free gifts and source only the sustainable produce. Do not use the non-sustainable products. Travel sustainably. You have to travel. Don't go on your own vehicle, go on public transport. That is what is sustainable. And use little water, less water. It doesn't mean don't wash. You wash, but wash frequently, but use little judiciously. And don't leave the tap open when you're brushing your teeth. Open it only when you have to wash and when necessary. And when you open the tap, please open not full, but in a slow way, so that you can save a lot of water that way also. And reuse and upcycle. Yeah, this reuse and upcycle, you have old clothes, don't throw them away, because the environment takes a little time for it to break it down, decompose. So old clothes can be used in another way, make bags or make chadar, whatever. So reuse them, old products, whatever can be reusable, and spread the word. Yes, it is time for us to make everybody conscious about what we are losing, how precious it is for our survival. So please take up, join some organization and take up the activity to spread the word. Take action against plastic pollution. Plastic is inevitable for us, but we are using for everything, even the plates we have to eat on. Why not convert, go for sustainable products, not those which are plastic in form. So try to reduce the plastic usage. So take action against these pollution, and please do not litter. Make sure you're throwing it in the dustbin, not near the dustbin. When you throw your garbage, let it be in the dustbin that is provided by the municipality, not just throw as you pass by, so that it just falls outside and it is all littered. Who will pick it up? So do something for such, this also. Conserve energy. See here, the cost of energy production is at the cost of environment, destructing the environment. So try to save the energy, but don't leave any socket plugged in. Even if the switch is off, 25% of energy is still passing through the plugged in socket. So pull out the plug also when you switch off the electrical connection. Okay, that way we can conserve a lot of energy. And not just spreading the word, you have to stay informed also. Unless you are informed, unless you are aware, you cannot sensitize people. So stay informed. And as I said, when you litter, when you want to make others aware, you have to volunteer. And please join some volunteering organization for charity, in charity, but do something. Clean up the environment whenever possible, and recycle whenever possible. Go for recycling, decomposting, and try to help the environment rebuild itself. So embrace minimalism is one postulate, one actions that biodiversity actions given by United Nations. Embrace minimalism. Don't buy an almirah full of clothes. Just use whatever you need, not more than what you need. So try to reduce purchases so you can minimalize on your costs also, economically also. And restore nature and biodiversity. Just cleaning up the environment. Take up waste management activities sometime. Clean up the your colony, help, call your friends, clean up this, the colony in your locality, and help the other life to rebuild itself. And sorry, this is where I'm losing this. And celebrate the Biodiversity Day. So now I have given you the strategies for conserving or building a shared environment for all life. But what are the actions that we have to take? It is our responsibility. That is the title, right? So how are we going to do that? So we have polluted our air, we have polluted our water, we have polluted the soil. The soil is no longer cultivable. The water is no longer palatable, and the air is no longer breathable. What actions do we take? We have solutions. We have our traditional practices. It is our detergents and the soaps that we have indiscriminately used in the water bodies that have caused the invasive species to flourish. So remove that. Take action to use sustainable nature-friendly products so that the environment and the ecosystem is rebuilt, and go for nature-friendly cultivation practices, save the indigenous varieties of crop plants. This way, we can sensitize the farmers, we can sensitize the villagers, the rural and the urban populace to take up action against the environmental loss and the biodiversity loss. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, madam.
Thanks.
My dear participants, do you have any doubts? Padmati madam is ready to give the clarification to you. Raise your doubt. Raise your questions.
Madam, this is Jyoti.
Jyoti, hi. Tell me.
Hi, madam. Madam, మాకు సువాస క్లబ్ లో మెంబర్షిప్ ఇస్తారా మేడం?
Yeah,
Me
I
and for
have
my
to
students.
guidelines ఇంకా frame చేస్తున్నాము. If there is a possibility, you're all welcome. I would be happy to make you part of this, because
Thank
any
you.
activity that Subhasa conducts, we can take it up in your area also.
Thank you, madam.
Sure, definitely, Jyoti.
Thank you, madam.
Any queries? Any queries are welcome.
Hello,
Yes, sir.
madam. This is Dr. Reddy
Namaste, sir.
from S.V.K.P college. Madam,
Namaste.
what is the current position of biodiversity action plans in India, madam? Actually, in India, what are the plans they are doing by our government?
See,
Actually, in universities.
I've just shown you in my presentation, sir, what
Okay,
are the strategies that India is taking up. And we are doing, the Biodiversity Board is doing lot of these participatory rural appraisals through the BMCs. They are preparing the People's Biodiversity Registers so that the people in the, this is called as the People's Biodiversity Register, where you document the biological resources and the environmental resources of different villages. And these villages are identified as biological management committees. They have formed these BMCs, and these BMCs are comprised of the village panchayat heads and also the villagers themselves. So 7 members would be there in that BMC, sir. They would be appraised of whatever resources they are having in their area, so that they would be the custodians of that biological resource, and they have to share it. They are the only people who can share it to outsiders by taking some charge. So they charge for these services that are being utilized by the outsider. So it is their right. This has been done through this sensitization and awareness program is being done through the PBR preparations. This is a document prepared by the experts and given to the BMC authorities for safeguarding it, for safeguarding the document as well as the resource. So it is their right. They have been sensitized about it. So every villager knows about it, the value of the biological diversity.
Actually, they are not putting any boards, madam. In villages also, actually, they are not putting any hoardings.
No,
If
they
they will put,
do
actually,
not do
then,
it, sir. They are active. They are very much active. Our AP Biodiversity Board has identified more than 200 biodiversity management committees, and they are under process now. They're under process, not to worry. And it's getting a lot of funding also. The government is allocating a lot of funding. And the National Biodiversity Committee authority is the authority that is taking up distributing these to the state biodiversity boards. They have recently become very active, not to worry.
Actually, we have to appreciate S.V.K.P and Dr.K.S. Science and College, madam, for arranging this webinar.
Thank you, sir.
Actually, in West Godavari district, this is the first seminar on biodiversity.
Oh, really?
And we have to
I'm
congratulate
honored. I'm
you, madam,
honored indeed.
for sparing your time. Also, we are very thankful to you.
I'm honored, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Hello.
Good evening,
Yes.
ma'am.
Namaste, madam.
Namaste, sir.
This is Subramaniam, SKR and SKR Degree College, Kadapa.
Kadapa. Namaste, sir.
Yes, madam. Can I speak in Telugu, madam?
Sure, sure.
Right. Thank you for this. Madam, last 2 years low, lockdown system law worldwide, it is a lockdown.
Yes, sir.
Biodiversity is a one major factor is that is high temperature, etc. like this. Due to this lockdown, this temperature is reduces, rainfall is high, improved. The several factors are changed. Not only our India, it is worldwide.
Yes.
These factors may affect or improve any diversity.
Definitely, if we are again locked down.
Okay.
See, we have caged the animals. Now we should cage ourselves so the others can flourish. So we should allow them to flourish. And this is the evidence. The lockdown was the evidence that we should be locked inside.
Last this year, we have
Yes,
any
sir.
noticed extincted or about the extinct or vulnerable species are identified, madam?
As to my
There is
knowledge, there
2
is
years.
no such.
2 years is over after the lockdown.
Sir, I didn't get to. I mean, it didn't come to my notice that any such report is available. I have no idea. Sorry about
Okay,
this.
madam. There is a
I have
chance,
no
I
idea.
think.
I don't think there is any such report.
Okay,
Nobody
madam.
has reported because they are on the verge of extinction. They still have to inventory the number again. So
Okay.
it will take a little time. It may not
But-
be in the
But
so
there is a
fast.
chance. But there is a
There
chance.
is a chance. There is a chance because there was restoration of the ecosystem. Naturally, the species would restore.
Yes.
The number would be restored. Definitely, number would be restored.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Ma'am, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, you said very awesome, ma'am. Awesomely, you said that total about biodiversity, how to protect our nature and everything.
Yes.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And what is the motto of the Suhasa, ma'am? Suhasa.
Suhasa works towards the rebuilding of the environment, and this decade has been declared as ecosystem restoration of the habitats. So we are trying to actually be, I want to sensitize through this platform if I can, that we should stop using the detergents, which are very harmful to the ecosystem, especially the not just soil, but also the water body. We are unable to go to the water body, the Godavari river, which is the purity. But we are unable to go and carelessly or carefully drink water without any hesitation because it has those plants and planktons floating which are not favorable, which are toxic. So we want to actually try to purify the water bodies, try for strategies where we can purify the water bodies. First, by sensitizing the people around who are dependent on these water bodies. Stop using soaps and detergents. and clean up or remove whatever invasive species are there. Because when there are toxins only, they flourish. The invasive species flourish. So when you remove toxins, the invasive species automatically get removed. So that way we can rebuild our water bodies. Yes.
My question, ma'am, how can we be? It is not at all possible to use detergents and soaps and everything, no, ma'am.
We have, the nature has provided us with soap nuts and shikakai. I use soap nut. I use soap nut at home to clean my utensils also. You know, there is a report which states that it is through the soap that we use for washing the dishes that most of us are getting cancer. So this is one of the reasons for cancer. So stop using soap and start using soap nut.
Okay, ma'am.
You can see the difference. And I have noticed the cockroaches are no longer inhabiting my house when I started using the soap nut. This is one way of controlling the pests also, the household pests.
I think old is gold, I think so, ma'am.
See, I didn't get you.
Old is gold.
Definitely old traditions are gold. Indian traditions especially are very, very human, I mean nature friendly. We should go back to our nature and old practices. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
సిహెచ్ శ్రీనివాస్ గారు, ప్లేస్మెంట్ ఆఫీసర్, ఇందాక క్వశ్చన్ ఏదో రైజ్ చేశారు. ప్లీజ్ రైజ్ యువర్ క్వశ్చన్.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
This is placement officer from S.V.K.P, ma'am.
Namaste.
May I know about the specific role of the students to maintain the biodiversity, ma'am? Specific role of the students.
Definitely, sir. I have to tell you my experience, sir. I came from Hyderabad. After the state separation. So I had to move here, and I'm very, very passionate about the natural products. So I used to buy only natural products in Hyderabad. When I came to Rajahmundry, I could not get any such natural products. And when I started talking to my students about these nature-friendly practices, they were kind of perplexed, saying, "What is this? Organic products, natural products?" Then I happened to go to one meeting that was conducted by the government only, the agriculture department, where Subhash Palekar was conducting a training program for the farmers, a 2 weeks training program. That's where I went. I spoke to the people there, and I went to the collector stating, I want to sensitize the students. He said, we have done it to the farmers. Why students? Students are the pillars of the future, sir. They would be our officers of tomorrow and the policy makers tomorrow. So if we sensitize the students, if they are sensitized, they can make a lot of difference in the society. They can change the society. And I believe the young blood needs to be sensitized.
Thank you,
That's
madam.
the reason why we started the student clubs.
So that is the motto of so also. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you.
My good friends, any more queries?
Madam, once again, this is Jyoti.
Jyoti, tell me.
Madam, I'm very much interested and very much interested in your biodiversity webinar, ma'am. Madam, I am decided to take part in your work also along with my students. As our college is running PG courses, we want to collaborate with you and work with you for the society, for the sake of society. And you already told to me about the canal which is located in Penugonda.
Yes.
I am started working about that, ma'am. Definitely,
Wonderful.
I need your support, and I think you will support me
Sure,
definitely.
sure.
Thank you, madam. Biodiversity webinar is very good, and it give a knowledge knowledge for everyone, which are not belongs to life sciences.
Thank you.
Everyone
wanted
is
to do
inspired,
that.
ma'am, like our CH Srinivasarao sir and principal sir and our IQAC coordinator. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
See, I believe in Gandhiji's popular statement, be the change you want to see in others. So when we are sensitized, the society, it is easy to sensitize the society. So you be the change to bring the change in the society. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity and for all the interaction also. Thank you.
One more
Delighted
candidate
to
here.
interact. Thank you.
Lakshmi Devi madam is ready, madam.
Sure, please.
Lakshmi Devi madam,
Sir.
you are the last one.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, sir. Good evening, madam. Good evening, madam. Madam, this you were talking about this Subhash Palekar's organic farming, no, madam.
Yes.
Here, when we talk to students, madam, who come from farmers' families,
yes.
I spoke to many of them. All of them say that, madam, the efficiency is very less. You mean production is very less. That's why nobody is following that. It's all only in theory, but not in practice.
Exactly.
What is your opinion, madam?
Yes, I have experienced it myself. My students are directly working in this project, in the government project. My students are directly working in the government project. And they are trying to actually sensitize many farmers. They are involving many farmers, and they are in the United Nations Environment Project.
Oh, yes,
so
ma'am.
The UN is directly involved in our state for promoting natural farming. But sadly, there is no support. There is no support in the form of, because this is labor-intensive cultivation. It is labor-intensive agriculture.
Yes, nowadays we are not.
Labor is not available.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is
but
one drawback.
What is the solution, madam? What is the solution for this?
So we have to all go together to the government. Say that we are sensitized. The government has to support. It has to provide the minimum support price and also provide the market and also ease up the export policies.
Yes,
so
yes,
make a path for the export that would support the, alleviate the farmers' financial status also. It would definitely alleviate the farmers' financial status.
Yes, ma'am. Hope that good days will come, ma'am.
Yes. No. It's not hope. You have to be part of it. Don't wait for somebody else to do it.
Yes,
be a part of it. All of us come together, approach the government. The government has to do it.
Yes.
How strongly we approach the government.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Lakshmi.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Lakshmi madam.
Thank you, sir.
It is the time for the concluding our webinar. On behalf of S.V.K.P and Dr.K.S. Raju Arts and Science College, Benegonda, we are thankful to Professor Padmavati madam for elaborating lecture on responsibility of every citizen, responsibility of ours, that is in biodiversity. She explained very elaborately, excellently, and with the statistical information. Very proud of you, madam. On behalf of our college, we convey the cordial thanks to you, madam. Once again, I congratulate the Department of the Botany for organizing the nice webinar. Now, I would like to invite convener of the webinar, Dr. Srilakshmi madam, to propose vote of thanks. Before that one, my cordial thanks to the Suvasa Club students of Adhikaran Nanaya University for their kind participation and response. That is Bindu or the some other friends also there. My blessings and cordial thanks to all the students. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Now,
Thank you,
I
sir.
request, thank you, madam. I cordially invite convener of the webinar, Dr. Sri Lakshmi, madam, to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you. Before going to vote of thanks, I want to ask one question, madam. Please excuse me, madam.
Sure, sure.
Please
Welcome.
extend your Suvasa Club activities to affiliated colleges of Adikavinana University, madam. It will be beneficial to degree students. It's my request, ma'am.
I'll try I'll put all my efforts to involve the affiliated colleges also. S.K.V.P, S.V.K.P, definitely.
Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you.
Vote of thanks. Very good evening one and all. On behalf of Department of Botany, S.V.K.P and Dr.K.S. Raju, Arts and Science College, Autonomous, Penugunda. I propose a vote of thanks at the successful completion of a national webinar on strategies for building a shared future for all life, our responsibility. At the outset, I express my humble request, thanks to the principal of the college, respected Dr. Y.V.V. Apparao garu, for permitting us to arrange this webinar. I convey my cordial thanks to Dr. K. Thanks to IQSA coordinator Sri K.S. Kumar garu, head of the Department of English, for his kind support from IQSA. And also, I am very much thankful to Suvasa Club students. I make a special mention to express my sincere thanks to the resource person of today's webinar, respected Dr. B. Padmavati Garu, Assistant Professor and Course Coordinator, Department of Botany, Adikavinana University, Rajmahendravaram, Andhra Pradesh, for her enlightening and energetic presentation which made the participants with information. I am very thankful to the senior faculty members, colleagues, and friends of the college for their moral support. I express my thanks to Kumari D. Lecturer, Department of Botany, for the efforts for arranging this webinar. I am thankful to Sri M. Sairam Sir Garu, web designer, for his technical support. Finally, my special thanks to all the participants for their monumental cooperation and patience for this webinar a grand success. Thank you, one and all. Thank you so much. Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much. Once again, Padmavati, madam. God bless you, madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you
All the
for giving me
participants.
this opportunity.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Good day to all.
Thank you,
Namaste.
madam.
Namaskar.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. It is small notice to all the participants. We are already posted the feedback form, that is in the chat box. Please complete it, and within seconds you are able to get your certificates. If anybody facing any problems, please contact us. Thank you, one and all. Thank you for your kind support. Our session is also closed. Congratulations, madam.
Thank you, sir. Sairam sir. Close అవ్వలేదు. Okay, sir. సార్ మళ్ళీ క్లోజ్ అవ్వలేదు. లేదు సార్ లేదు.
God bless you.
4 o'clock వల్ల నువ్వు కొంచెం పార్టిసిపేట్స్. సార్ థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్. థ్యాంక్ యూ. చాలా ఇబ్బంది పెట్టేశారు మేడం మీద ఆ సువాస గురించి. ఇంత నాకు చాలా ఇబ్బంది అనిపించేసింది.
ముందు రోజు కూడా అన్నాడంట, బాబు పట్టుకెళ్ళిపోండి మేము రెండో రోజు ఆగేటప్పటికి మూడో రోజు వెళ్ళిపోయి.